Welcome to the Accounting Arc Podcast, where analysis, reaction, and comedy collide to tackle the big topics from the world of accounting and beyond. Join our trio of transformation agents as they discuss the hottest topics in and out of the profession, from breaking down industry trends, to reacting to everyday events, to uncovering the hidden humor in numbers. With wisdom, insight, and a dash of levity, they're proving that accounting isn't just about the numbers. It's about life. Because after all, accounting is in everything. The Accounting Arc Podcast starts now.
Welcome back to another episode of ARC. Today we are talking about the cycles of consumerism and returns, what happens for e-commerce companies in accounting, what happens for individuals, how does this all work, and welcome to the winter. How are you guys doing?
Stressing out about holiday gift buying. I don't want to buy stuff that gets returned.
Well, I think everything ultimately gets returned, right? What is the percentage of stuff that gets returned?
Yeah, I mean, doing some research, it looks like, generally speaking, about 25% of e-commerce items get returned after the holiday season.
25. Oh my
20.
gosh.
Yeah.
It's incredible what happens,
yeah.
right?
Do you have for what's the norm? What's the non-e-commerce?
Yeah, looks like around non-e-commerce, actually in-store retail is approximately 9%. And this is coming from a Cap One shopping research retail return statistics. So 24.5% for e-commerce and 8.71% for in-store purchases. That is gross. That makes me not want to have e-commerce sales.
But it's so convenient. You can buy from your phone when you're in bed and have impulses.
It's so great, isn't it? It really is.
It is wonderful and awful at the same time, right?
That's what I did after Black Friday, because I realized, and I was like, oh, there was some furniture I wanted to get. So I went to go look, and it was literally like 10:30 at night. And I was like, oh, I got an hour and a half more to get some purchases in.
Yeah, and that's, the incredible power of technology, and also is why there are so many returns, because people are impulsively buying things. Also, there's the factor of you can't try it on. Like, you don't know really what it's going to feel like or look like. I know I personally have had some serious issues with buying things on Amazon that come and they're a totally different size than I thought they would be. And so, something e-commerce sellers are talking about a lot is how do you properly advertise to avoid these types of returns where people's expectations aren't met, which may or may not be your fault, right? How do you actually mitigate that? Well, some of it you can, some of it you can't, right? Like putting sizing guides is a great way to help with clothing. And also, when you're buying a gift for somebody, I don't know, I kind of just guess. I'd be medium shirt size, I think. Right? I'm not gonna text my dad and be like, hey, what are your shoulder and waist measurements today? Thank you.
Well, I mean, wouldn't it be creepy and fantastic if Amazon was like, who are you buying this for? And you put it in and they're like, well, generally they purchase medium shirts or 10.5 shoes.
That would be an overshare of information.
That would be scary.
And so convenient, though.
I mean, I suppose you could elect to share it with your family and friends, or better yet, we could just have full body scanners, right? And you just stand in a machine and it gives every data point you ever need for fit.
It would help reduce the return rate. Donny, Hawaii is one of the worst. Highest return rates per permanent resident, $24,000 per year of returned items per permanent resident.
I believe that,
Whoa.
but in defense of Hawaii, that's because we don't have access to the physical side to go and get it. So
Right.
there's a lot more that we order to bring into the
Ah,
state.
Because you're an
interesting.
island.
Yeah.
So first place to deploy full body scanners is Hawaii,
Hawaii.
including feet scanners, everything.
Yeah.
All the things.
Yeah.
Um,
But okay, jokes aside, I mean, what does that mean from an accounting cycle? Like year
it's a
end
nightmare.
happens kind of in the middle of this cycle. So what do you do?
Well, and I mean, that's such a nightmare, right? Because you got to build up inventory in preparation for peak holiday sales. You're gonna hopefully have those sales. You're betting that you're gonna have those sales. So hopefully you don't have a bunch of garbage inventory left over. And then you have to sit on your hands and wait to see how many returns you have to figure out how that's going to impact your actual profitability.
Yeah. So, in normal accrual accounting, we accrue for returns.
24% of gross sales.
Well, and it depends on the company too, right? Like you're looking at historical data as well. And some companies do a wonderful job of advertising where when you're buying the product, your expectations are met and others don't. And it's harder in certain when you're selling certain goods, right? It's always harder with like clothing or shoes, right? Like my feet are weird. I've been trying to buy ski boots and you know what? Like there is not a single ski boot that fits me perfectly. So if I ordered them online, the chances are they would have
They're
fit
getting bought.
perfectly at return them, even if I had the size right. Um, and so, when you're looking at it, there's certain items that are more difficult, and those items have a higher accrual. And it's based on prior years as well, like looking at the percentage of returns and when that happens. And it happens so much more during the holiday season because there's gift giving involved as well. It's not just, I purchased it for myself and I don't like it, which is most of the rest of the year.
That's definitely a good accounting implication. And Byron's statement about I gotta stock up all this inventory and potentially uh, whether I'm gonna sell it or not, that actually to me brings up another interesting one because one of the things that drove me crazy this year was that we started seeing Christmas stuff before even Halloween was done. And I was like, why are people selling this? And it's totally because they want to try and get more sales or they want to be the first to sell. But at the same time, that makes me think, well, but now you're ordering earlier. Now you have to potentially carry the inventory longer, or you're going to have to do sales to get it out, which is going to decrease your revenue again. And then now you have this returns that comes into that too. So it makes me kind of wonder if the whole retail industry is just creating its own I'm going to say further downward spiral because we already know that it's been in decline for multiple years now.
It has been. I think it's interesting when people try those tactics, though. It's like get in the holiday spirit, right? Like you're more likely to buy things when you're thinking of holiday cheer, right? I don't know. I've never really celebrated Christmas. I was raised Jewish, so for us, like Hanukkah's never been a really big holiday. It's always like small gifts and meaningful gifts. And
Yeah.
personally, like I'm not good at buying stuff. Like you will get a gift for me probably once every 10 years, and it will be absolutely perfect for you, but it will be totally random. Not on your birthday, not on a holiday. Like it'll have nothing to do with anything except for like, I see a thing that reminds me so perfectly of you. I'm willing to spend money on it, right? Mostly I'd rather take my friends to dinner or, buy a flight to hang out with them somewhere, or find an experience. So for me, like this whole consumerism ecosystem around it is like totally mind blowing and nuts. And I also know I come from a different background. And so it's not the same, like, I don't know the like culture around Christmas in the same way.
Yeah, but I come from growing up in a family that celebrates Christmas and doing the big pile of gifts and all of those things. And I mean, not really that much of a surprise, but I'm very similar to you in those respects. I'm terrible at being forced to buy gifts for people and if I have the right moment of inspiration, I will find a gift that is fantastic. But like to your point, it's once in a decade type of situation. But like I said, I grew up getting big piles of gifts and all the things at Christmas time, and I have the birthday fecta of having the birthday the day after Christmas. So I got even like twice as many gifts, which is a curse for anybody who thinks that's a blessing. But I mean, I feel a lot of the same way as you, with respect to this. And then, I really, I struggle with the accounting side of just looking at all of these returns and thinking about the nightmare of dealing with that, and then not even knowing, like, depending on what you are, say shoes. If you're doing shoes, I mean, sometimes people will wear those things and then they'll like send them back. And what do you do with them at that point? Like, are your returns resellable? Are your returns, can you put them on a secondary market, or are your returns getting
Yeah.
thrown away, which happens a lot of times with like the under $10 returns to Amazon, like they're just going in the garbage.
Well, they go in a truck, then the trucks get auctioned off, and then the people who buy the auction trucks sell them at liquidation places or on another auction to the public. So
Which I
like
do love
all
those.
that used
Cool.
stuff ends up in a weird secondary black hole market, which is bizarre and I love it. And I also purchase a lot of stuff through that secondary black hole market because I think it's really cool. But it is absolute waste. Like everybody's building that into their margins is waste because most of it is not resaleable to
Yeah.
them. So it's wholesaled out, which,
Yeah, it's
they're getting
pennies on the
pennies on the
dollar.
dollar of what the cost of the inventory was to purchase in the first place.
And for those of you listening, if you want to hear a full discussion, we did a whole episode of that earlier, or maybe I think it was mid 2025-ish. We did a whole episode on this, so check that one out if you want to understand the whole chain because we discussed it. But both of you are making me feel pretty good because I'm with you, and I thought I was kind of fairly alone. Like Liz, I actually don't give presents. Christmas, I come from a lower income family, so Christmas was not a pile of gifts for us. We got one, maybe two if we were lucky, type of a thing. And so it was more of a time for family and experience, and that was always something that's been very important for me growing up. Was I knew we would have both sides of the family types of events, and even all the way through college, I always made sure I made time to go home or wherever whoever aunt, uncle, grandma's house it was at to go and do those things. And so I also transitioned my gift giving to not Christmas, but for me it was maybe perhaps a little closer to Liz, but not 10 years. Um, as I travel and I'm like, oh, this is perfect for so and so, then I buy that, whatever it is. Or I also like to do the dinners and experiences with people instead.
Yeah, it's an interesting culture around consumerism right now, particularly with the ease of buying. Like I feel like, how when you're a kid and you're at a grocery store and the checkout aisle has like all the candy and like comic books, and you're like, oh my God, these are all the things I want to buy because impulse control is difficult as a child. I feel like that's how the Amazon algorithm works right now for me on my cell phone, where it's like, oh my God, this is so cool. Like, I want to buy all this stuff because it's super interesting. And then I'm like, no, I don't, like, actually, because it's not going to be as cool as I think it's going to be. And also, that's a ton of money. And of course, my Amazon feed right now is all around like ski stuff and mountain biking stuff and like things that I just get really nerdily excited about and want to buy, and it's not cheap stuff. Like the equipment's expensive.
Well, building on that, the thing that I'm surprised now, because I normally don't do a lot of shopping online, but recently I have been because I'm working on some projects for my house. Is the number of layaway plans, what used to be called layaway plans, but now you actually get the things up front, and what is it?
Hmm.
Pay as
Buy
you
now,
go.
pay
Affirm.
later.
Yeah,
Yeah.
buy now, pay
Affirm. Yeah.
later. Like that has just been exploding to me because you never saw it a lot before. Now I feel like every site, even non-merchandise site, is
Oh yeah.
offering that. It's
I've
crazy.
seen it on training websites. There's like, you can do Affirm if you to buy like a conference. registration.
Because the technology is there to just build it into every checkout process, and it's easy
Yeah.
to track now. And also, that's going to start hitting credit reports, so that's fun.
Ooh.
Yeehaw. Yeehaw. So
Mhm.
you both said that you have moments of inspiration where you get really good gifts. So any examples of like one of those, like I nailed the gift, like it was just perfect.
In today's world, cyber threats don't just target big businesses. They target you. Your small office or home office is at risk.
There are a lot of solutions out there. Not all of them have the same level of security. The Soho Protection Package is designed to provide proactive cybersecurity solutions.
If your firm is looking for assistance in developing your personalized IT policy, connect with an advisor today at link.improvetheworld.net/Soho Cyber. Gain peace of mind that you have the right technology in place to stay protected.
I'm trying to think of appropriate ones.
All right. Well, you're thinking I'll share mine. So, the favorite one I've done is monthly flower subscription for my mom. So she gets fresh flowers once a month. I get to pick them out, ahead of time, and they show up. And it's something that she gets so much enjoyment out of having those. And she lives in an apartment, so all her girlfriends come over and they see her flowers, and they're like, "What flowers did you get this month?" So. It's just become like, a really simple gift that brings her a lot of joy, which brings me joy.
I love those subscriptions where it's like a consumable, but in a way that brings joy. Like one of my best friends sent me one for tea. And so every month I got a new tea from around the world to try. And
Yes.
it wasn't just one, it was like five. And they did like a whole profile thing and asked you all your preferences and what flavors you like and customized the teas that they sent. And I love that because I drink tea almost daily. And I still have like a stockpile from that year because it was a lot of tea. Like it was way more tea than I could consume in a month that I got from the subscription. So that one was one given to me that was exceptional in a similar vein.
That's super fun. I really like that. So if you need any
Um,
ideas of what to send me for my birthday, tea subscription.
I feel like a coffee one would be really good too. Um,
Hmm.
Byron, you actually gave me a gift one time in a very flippant way. Like, I don't think you really thought it was that cool, but you gave me a pound of coffee that was really exceptional. And it was from like your friend's
Yep.
farm, if I remember correctly. Um, or your friend
Yeah.
was involved in the
Yeah.
company somehow, but it was so
Yeah.
good and so thoughtful because I love coffee. And that was like, it meant a lot to me.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Vigilante coffee. Fantastic coffee.
Yeah,
Maybe
great branding too.
and they do subscriptions. Yeah. Super great branding.
Yeah.
Yeah. uh,
And it came with
Really
some
good.
stickers that were inappropriate but amazing.
I think
Inappropriate stickers are always good winners for any
Heck
gift.
yeah.
I think that ties well back into the whole it's the thought that counts, and when there's a story behind why you bought this for that person, and why it made you think of them or their situation or what they like, that becomes so much more important too and meaningful to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no doubt, no doubt. So
Um,
this year, like as 2026 goes, and you're buying birthday gifts and all these gifts, like don't just buy shit to buy stuff. Like it's. I guess a handwritten card is better than buying something that's just going to go in the trash.
or get returned and end up
Right.
in a weird back alley market.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Or
hard.
I even enjoy the donations on people's behalf. Like there's a lot of good organizations that people like to support, and doing those types of things, even asking somebody if there's an organization that they want a donation on their behalf is a nice way to do something a little bit different.
That is a good idea. But I do think it's an interesting moment in society when we are cultivating more consumerism. We have had interesting inflation and increase in cost of goods due to some tariffs. And the economy is like hovering on the edge of a potential recession. for a long time and being bolstered by outside influences in a really unique and interesting way. And all of that culminates in we have people making less really from like a functional dollar perspective and being put in a place to buy more and given options to get into debt to buy those things. And it like holistically, when you take a step back and you're looking at it from a macro perspective, like this is not a great place to be. And it's also hard for like e-commerce companies, like their margins have been slashed out from under them. They're not as profitable as they used to be, and they're not very profitable at all. You have to do extreme amounts of volume to get to a profitability that makes sense. And so, like everybody's trying to control price and make their living, and it's not going in a good direction holistically.
So let's kind of flip that because that's also where some of my thinking was going was, all of this, there's so many negative impacts of the overconsumerism, not just from a financial standpoint, but also environment with the waste and all of, everything else that comes in there. When we look at these macroeconomic things, how do we balance, or especially for us as accountants, when we're working with business owners, how do we balance this? What feels like I got to get that revenue, I gotta get my market share, right? Either of those, because we see this whole market share thing come up with a lot of VC funding companies, all these startups as well. Like, how do I balance that with true sustainability of the business, as well as looking at the broader picture of the impact on the community?
That's a heavy question.
But
Well,
I think
to me, it kind of bridges to what we're seeing with ESG reporting, because that's where I've been thinking about too, is really looking at, having moved back to Hawaii a year ago and seeing how, before environmental friendly was a thing, Hawaii, we've always done that because as part of the native Hawaiian values that we grew up with, it's a respect for the aina or the land, which is really the entire environment that we live in. And Hawaii also has this concept called aha pua'as, which is a land division that went from the mountain all the way to the sea. And that land division was purposely designed to be able to enable the tribe that lived in that division to effectively be self-sustaining.
Wow.
So there was these interesting concepts that go back that I've been kind of re-looking at and going, well, how do we actually rebalance these decisions in the modern world? And that's where ESG reporting
That's
came up
fascinating.
because it had the environmental impacts, which looks at sustainability on the land side, and then the social impacts, which looks at it from a community perspective and the people perspective. And I'm wondering if that's a way for us to help rebalance some of these decisions on what am I selling? Where am I sourcing from? What's the impact to the community, not just here, but on the returns or wherever the returns end up. Because in that returns episode we saw where I think we discussed where it ends up in some foreign, per se, third world country. And there's actually negative impacts to them now because there's just too much going over there.
Yeah, it is really fascinating. And it's a lot to consider. And it's something I actually have hope in the younger generations coming up and that they are less consumer focused and more, thrifty in a manner of speaking and less concerned about is this brand new and is this designer? More is this like cool and can I get it like secondhand? Because that's cool now, right? And I love that vibe, right? Like that's a really good kind of let's recycle where we were in the 1960s a bit from consumerism perspective. But I do think it's really interesting.
Is that really a new trend though? I feel like the vintage trend comes up because I remember when I was
Nothing's new.
college, right?
No, nothing
It's
is
all
new. It
recycling.
always, yeah, it always like resurfaces. But I mean, culturally speaking, I think different generations have different percentages focused on that, right? And like care about it in a different way, or it means something different from a core values perspective than it did before, right? Like I think I can speak for most millennials in that like, yeah, all of us have always been like hipster vibes are cool. Like let's, go buy some stuff at the thrift shop, but also like convenience is king. So if I can order this shit on Amazon and it's going to show up and I'm going to get 10 black t-shirts that are amazing and fit my like, hipster millennial uniform of black t-shirts and jeans. And it's convenient and I don't have to like leave my current situation. I'm going to do that versus be like, no, I'm going to go thrift these t-shirts. Like that means more to me. Right. And I think the younger generation has a different perspective on that. Right. And that like they would choose to go like make the effort to get the things because it has more meaning to them versus just being like utilitarian.
Well, and I do think that we're at an interesting point in the world where the logistics to enable convenience around thrifting is actually becoming easier as well. So I think to a certain degree, it may be more enabled now than it ever was because, back when we were growing up and going to the thrift store, I mean, you were limited to just what like was kind of like within your region. But now, I mean, there's so many online options for secondhand stuff. I mean, we have the horses, and there's a couple secondhand places that we check out for horse related stuff, and we don't have to drive an hour and a half, which is what we used to have to do to get to a place like that.
Yep. Modern conveniences, but we still have to deal with shipping and the impact of all that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think that's where Byron's point actually makes sense. So I'm thinking of like Facebook Marketplace, those types of things too, right? That just make it easier to do that
The
exchange.
secondary markets have gotten much more powerful, like Poshmark and,
Oh,
for
yeah.
sports equipment, like the sideline swap stuff, like all that's great. Like that you have those options and it's not like, okay, I need to find the one played against sports in my town or my state, right? Depending on where
That's
you
right.
are.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So yeah, it is an interesting time, and I think to your point earlier, Liz, it's like it's a very delicate moment. I think that we're living in from just the fragility of the economies and the debt and the buying and the job market. It's going to have some interesting long-term impacts as we navigate through all of these challenges.
Yeah, I would even go midterm. I'm not sure if I would go short term, but I think midterm impacts as
Yeah.
well. And my kind of one of my big takeaways from this is I'm not alone. So I think one of the things I'll raise to all the others out there, if you're thinking like us, where like this over consumerism, this gift giving, and all this stuff is like way out of control.
Yep.
And of course, we all know the accounting impacts on there. I know we didn't get into that as deeply, but we all know that there's tons of accounting impacts on these returns and sales and projections and accruals that, hey, maybe start to take a stand with us and stop the craziness and remove some of this focus. And then also with the businesses that you work with, or even your own business that you might be doing to don't give into this madness and get off the bandwagon.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think, Donny, your core values and mission of bringing transparency in so many different areas shines through in this topic so well. And I love like how you're roping in ESG and understanding like this type of reporting is not standard yet, but it needs to be, right? And this is part of the reason why.
Completely agree. Thank you. Yes.
No doubt.
All right. Hope that's some inspiration to start off the new year for y'all. We'll see you on the next episode.
Bye now.
My better gifts.
Bye.
See y'all.
The Center for Accounting Transformation provides business professionals with a network for utilizing innovations that are ready for adoption, the training and resources necessary to apply those innovations, and an opportunity to engage the talent and community needed to further the pursuit of innovative accounting practices that drive responsible and mindful business performance. Find out more at our website, www.improvetheworld.net. And if you're interested in sharing your own transformation stories, please contact us there.